This is episode 147 of the Beyond the Food Show, and today is another fundamental episode because we're going to assess together if it's time for you to try the non-food approach or the non-diet approach for you to feel comfortable in your body, overcome your food, quote unquote, issue. Is it time for you to change your approach? I have a quiz for you that's going to help you determine that. So if you're ready to play this game with me and understand yourself better, stay tuned. My name is Stephanie Dodier, clinical nutritionist. I reversed my diagnosis of anxiety, depression, adrenal fatigue, and obesity by going beyond the food. I can tell you one thing, that willpower, discipline, and deprivation aren't the permanent solution to transforming your relationship to food. So how do you leave overeating, emotional eating, food craving, and binging behind you so you have the food freedom to achieve all of your goals and be happy now? As a top 25 alternative health podcast in the world, this is the Beyond the Food Show. I have created an audio training entitled How to Change Any Eating Habit, specifically the one that is sabotaging you. 3 strategies to create the consistency and confidence you need to change your eating habit without willpower or discipline. I did this in order to help women like yourself engage with food in a completely different perspective so that they stop craving, overeating, binging, and using food to feel better. You can put an end to the cycle of frustration, the all or nothing mindset, and shame towards your own body and become a motivated, consistent, focused, and self-loving version of yourself. This free audio training is about the why we eat, how we eat, so that the what we eat can be easy, effortless, and pleasurable. So if you are ready to step into the new version of yourself so that you can change how you interact with food, head over to stephaniedodier.com/training right now. Hello, ladies. This is Stephanie here. I am so happy and inspired to be with you today. So you may have noticed a difference in the sound quality, and it's because I'm traveling. I'm actually coming to you live from the desert in California. I'm in Morogo Valley, close to Joshua Tree Park, and right now I'm looking through my window at a canyon. I'm literally in the middle of a canyon in a homesteader cottage. If you're following me on Instagram, you've likely seen my story about this, but I'll post one more picture on Instagram as well so everyone can see where I am. But I've come here because I'm attending a conference, a mastermind on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So when this podcast releases on Thursday, I'll be sitting in a conference called Mindshare, which is a bunch of health experts that practice online exclusively that are getting together. So it's a great place for me to find like-minded people. So I decided to extend my stay here and come and visit Joshua Tree Park, which is a very special place for me. I find this place to be magical. I get all kinds of inspiration and ideas. My 3rd time being here, so really love it. Now, this episode here also got inspired by someone that DM'd me on Instagram. Her name is Jess, and she shared with me her review of the episode. And I'm going to read it word for word here, what she sent me as a review for the podcast. And that triggered last week's podcast. So Jess, you are behind last week's podcast and this week's podcast. So here's Jess' review. I've been listening to your podcast recently, and I have to say, when I finally looked you up on Instagram and saw that you weren't the typical nutritionist supermodel, please don't take any offense to that. I didn't at all. I was overjoyed, bolded capital letter. I was like, finally, a real woman who gets it and isn't afraid to teach. I'm loving everything I'm hearing, and it's truly helping my journey, and I will find food freedom. I've listened to several episodes over and over. Thank you for being bold, for teaching beyond the food. It's truly the missing link. Thank you, Jess, for leaving me this review. And for anyone who connect with that message, let me say to you, that's my mission, is to be real and to take this message of nutrition and to really adapt it to people like you and I who are not simply able to respond to the traditional message of calorie in and calorie out and eating clean, because we've got baggage and we've got history and we've got a complicated relationship with food, and we use food for way more than just nourishment. And that stems from other things that we're going to get into today. But yes, is it easy for me all the time? Absolutely not. And especially when I consider where I'm going on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'm going to likely be the bigger person in the room. I'm going to be the oddball, the person that is different from everyone else out there. Is it going to be super easy for me? No. But I won't let my fear stop me. I realize that this fear that I have of sometimes being in very, I don't want to say judgmental, but in very atypical environment is simply a sign from my spirit, from my soul, from my inner voice, that I'm actually pushing out of my comfort zone of being isolated and not going out, and because I look different than people from my industry. So it's not easy, but I'm still doing it because I know I'm going to grow, and I know that is a way for me to reach more women. That's my purpose. I'm going to fulfill my purpose by being there, feeling uncomfortable, because it will allow me to get my message out to the world and help more women. So thank you, Jess, for your review. Thank you for all of you who leaves me review, who DM me, who reach out to me on social media. Your words of encouragement inspire me, triggers me to write episode like today, like last week, and even like next week. So keep the review coming. If you haven't yet left a review, go to stephaniedose.com/review, and I'll take you directly to the place where you can do a review and help the show rank. Now, today's episode, the next step to this, it's answer the question, Stephanie, what is the non-food approach? What does it mean? What is it? What does it mean, the non-diet approach? And is it time for me to try this? So believe it or not, there is people who are listening to this podcast right now who don't yet understand this. So I wanted to take a step back and clearly define what it is to approach healing your relationship to food, changing your food habit, feel comfortable in your body, by not actually addressing food, but addressing everything that drives the food behavior. So that's going to be the first part of the episode. And the second part is going to be a quiz. We've never done a quiz on the show, so I thought that would be interesting. So I have a quiz that I use in my practice with my patient one-on-one to determine if they're A, ready, and then B, is them working with me the right thing for them? Because my approach is different from most nutritionists, because I don't talk about food till like 3-4 months in. So I'm going to share this test with you. So we're going to do it together. So if you're driving right now listening to this, it's going to be about 10 questions. Try to memorize them or wait to listen to the show when you can download the PDF. So if you go to my website, you're actually going to be able to download a 2-page PDF with all the questions. Or if you have a pen and a paper, you can simply jot down your answer. It's going to be simply yes or no. And then we're going to tabulate the yes or no at the end to give you a score and then to determine what is the best step for you. So before we get to that piece, I wanted to make the official announcement for you, all of my podcast listeners, that the Going Beyond the Food Academy will be on to its last semester for 2018, starting September 10th. So we will be opening for registration on August the 29th for this last semester of 2018. The semester will start September 10th and end December 16th. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you join our waitlist. So currently, if you go to stephaniedodze.com/academy, you'll be able to join our waitlist, and that will put you through a special segmentation in which I will interact with all the ladies on the waitlist, almost one-on-one. I'm going to answer questions, do Q&As, release special content to them, and also have special bonus for all of you that are really into joining the next round of the Academy. And what is most important, you will have access to early enrollment. So the word out there, the feedback that I get from many of you is that we have a lot of people interested, but I always limit the amount of women in the program so I can be really interacting with women one-on-one. So for those that are on the wait list, you'll have early enrollment before we open to the public, if we need to open to the public, given the number of women who register. So I would highly recommend that you join the wait list. You can do that through the show note or directly on my website. And the second big announcement, ready? We're also going to repeat the scholarship. So we did our first scholarship to women in needs for the Going Beyond the Food Academy last semester, and it was a tremendous success. We had over 100 women apply that were in financial need, that could not afford complete registration costs. And I was able to help one lady. Her name is Carol. She's going to be on the podcast in a couple of weeks. And Carol had a profound story about her husband passing from cancer, and she's now in financial recuperation mode from treating her husband from cancer. And we were able to help her, gave her full ride scholarship and working with me one-on-one as well. And she's thriving. So that really floods my heart with joy, and I wanted to redo it again. So scholarship is open August the 9th till August the 19th. So you have 10 days to put your application through. You go to stephaniedodze.com/scholarship or through the show note of this podcast and put in your application. And remember, the scholarship is meant for women that are in need. So if you know a woman in your life that would need help with her relationship to food, to her body, to her weight, and she is in financial difficulties, please send her the link for her to register as well. Now, I just want to give a word of caution because last time we had a few people who applied that were not in financial need, but weren't willing to invest in themselves. So they clearly outlined to me on the scholarship that, this is not the kind of money I want to pay for myself. All my money I would rather give to my kids and my husband. So I'm applying. So the scholarship is not for you. The scholarship is there to help women in great difficulty. If you are challenged with investing in yourself, you do have the means and you choose not to invest in yourself, then I would recommend that you reach out to me because this is a coaching opportunity for you to see your worth. You are worth the investment into yourself, no matter how many times you failed. The problem is you've likely not taken the right approach, hence why you keep failing and failing and failing. And that's what this podcast episode is all about today. So if you are in that bucket of women who says, well, I don't want to invest and risk money on me because I can't trust myself, listen to this podcast, do the assessment, and ask yourself, have I ever done anything else than dieting? And could it be why I'm constantly failing? Should I be trying something else? Right? There's a great quote from Einstein that says, do not repeat the same thing over and over again and expect different results. So if that's you, listen carefully to today's episode. So let's get this episode started. The first thing we have to do is understand what is a non-food approach. What is a non-diet approach, right? We see more and that on social media, hashtag ditch the diet, no dieting approach, stop dieting. What does it mean? Like, what is it? So the best way for me to explain what it is first by giving you an analogy. It's an analogy that I use in every one of my conference, every one of my live workshop. And it's the analogy of a car. Let's imagine that tomorrow morning you're waking up, you get into your car to go to work, and then your engine light starts flashing, blinking, 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 blinking. What would you do? Would you, A, open the dashboard, take the light bulb out, and say to yourself, I've resolved the problem. There's no more engine light blinking, and then go to work? Or B, would you say to yourself, oh my God, there's a problem with my car. My engine light is blinking. There's something going on. Let me get into my mechanic. And then you would get to the garage. The mechanic would then get the car plugged into a computer that would read the assessment and understand why the light is blinking. And then repair the root cause of the reason why the light is blinking. A or B? Most people will automatically say B, right? I wouldn't take out the light bulb. That doesn't fix the problem. All it does is stop the light from blinking, but the problem is still there. I want you to think of dieting in the exact same way. Dieting, restricting quantity of food, restricting types of food, restricting time eating, restricting anything around food is like taking the light bulb out of the dashboard. You're controlling the input of food in your body. You're not addressing why you want to eat in the first place. Why is it that you urge? Why is it that you crave? Why is it that you can't stop eating even though you're full? Why? Dieting doesn't address that. So, to my earlier point about not wanting to invest into yourself because you fail over and over and over and over again, likely it's because you haven't addressed the root cause, the reason why you crave food in the first place. So how do we go about addressing the reason why we crave food, right? That is what we call the non-food, non-diet approach, meaning that instead of giving you a meal plan with quantity, types of food, time to eat, we say, we've done that for 5, 10, 15 years. Let's put that aside for now, and let's understand why you crave food, why you urge to eat food and not stop. We do that by looking at 4 primary buckets: mindset, your story around food, weight, body image, your pasts, maybe your trauma, your bullying, the reason why you have a shameful relationship with food. Then we look at your thoughts, your internal chatter and discussion, and for most women, their internal bashing, right? Because that's what most women do most of the time. And then we look at your perspective. We look at how you see yourself, how you believe that you are. Do you believe that you're broken? Do you believe that something is wrong with you? And it's that then driving a whole bunch of negative thoughts that then makes you feel bad. And then you want to eat food because you feel so bad all the time. That's what we do. That is a non-food approach, looking at what drive the food behavior and reframing, resetting, beginning a new way of engaging with food. So we have our method here called the Going Beyond the Food method, which is a non-food, non-diet approach. It's a 12-week program. And then for 10 out of the 12 weeks, we don't talk about food. And when we get to food, we don't talk about which food to eat and how much to eat. We talk about conscious eating. We talk about intuitive eating. So you can revive this internal nutritionist, right? So a quick highlight of the Going Beyond the Food method is kind of 10 different blocks that we address. We talk about the mindset. We teach you a new way of addressing your mindset and how to reprogram your mindset. We look back at your story, how your belief around food got created, your body, your weight. We reset your goal. We teach you a new way of approaching goals instead of the scale. We look at a different way of being focused on achieving results. Then we learn to take care of our whole self, mental, emotional, and spiritual, because physical, in most cases, is well taken care of, right? We know that we need to eat well. We know how to move. We've done that for 5, 10, 15 years. So we learn the other side. We talk about body image and the influence of our own body image on our desire to eat. We reframe how we look at the future, because for many of us, we're anxious, have a lot of anxiety, doubt, negativity on how we see our own future, and that impacts our relationship to food. Then we look at how we pleasure ourselves beyond food, because for many of us, having pleasure in life is a great part eating. So that got us into trouble. So how do we bring pleasure into our life that is not around food? And then when we're finally there after those 10 blocks, we talk about how to re-engage with food in a completely different approach. We talk about mindful eating and conscious eating. We talk about tapping into our intuition to know what to eat instead of being told what to eat. So that's the Going Beyond the Food method. That is a non-food, non-diet approach. And that all drives the earlier point of why we eat. Once we've worked on that and reset the driving reason why we eat, and we no longer are driven to eat when we're not hungry or eat too much, then the choices of food will become naturally easy, non-restrictive, and pleasurable, just like the normal eater, the people who don't have to be on a diet, the people who don't have to worry about calorie or scale or weight, because they eat when they're hungry and they stop when they're full, and that's it. Food is just one part of their life. It's not an obsession. So that's the goal of a non-food, non-diet approach, is to reset so you become a quote-unquote normal eater. So that is what is a non-diet, a non-food approach. Now, the question is that the right approach for you? And that's when the quiz comes in. So if you haven't yet downloaded the PDF of the show note, stephaniedose.com/147, get yourself a pen and a paper and write across the page 1 to 10. And then you're going to answer the question by yes or no. And then we're going to tabulate the number of yes at the end of the quiz, and then I'll give you the score. So let's get started. The very first question: have you been dieting for years and without consistent results? Yes or no? That means, have you been losing and gaining weight, never having permanent results? That's question number one. It's either a yes or a no. Go with the most honest answer. Question number two. You keep thinking your real life will begin when you finally lose weight. Yes or no? Your capacity to be honest with yourself will give you a better answer. Question number three. Do you feel you are in a battle with food? Yes or no? Question number four. If you gain weight, it will affect your mood and enjoyment of life. Yes or no? Question number five. Do you rely on measurement to know how much to eat, either calorie, weight, macros? Yes or no? Number six. I fight against my desire or urges for certain food, and I use willpower to stop myself from eating these food. Yes or no? Question number seven. I often keep eating past the point of fullness, even when I want to stop. Yes or no? Question number eight. Do you use food to help you cope with negative feelings? Example, sadness, anxiety, anger, stress. Yes or no? Question number 9. When you get hungry, you sometimes try to delay eating for a while, even though food is available. Yes or no? Last question, question number 10. Do you feel emotions of shame or failure when you don't eat the way you think you should? Yes or no? Remember, this is not a medical test. This is not meant to diagnose a condition or treat any health condition. This is not a substitute for professional medical advice. This is simply an informal assessment quiz that we use to determine if you are a candidate, if you should look at a non-food, non-diet approach. So now on your sheet, on the PDF, you should have a number of yes and a number of no. I want you to tabulate the number of yes, and I'm going to tell you what that can or could or should mean for you. If you have between 1 to 2 yes, you're either on the right path of recovery from years of dieting, of yo-yo dieting, of ditching the diet mindset, or you don't have an issue and you should keep going the way you are. So if you know that you've been doing the Going to Beyond the Food method for a number of months and you're progressing, this means it's a good thing, like you're moving forward. And if you've never done anything beyond the food and you still get 1 to 2 yes, that means there's really no issue for you. So moving along 1 to 2 yes means that things should stay the way they are as far as how you're currently approaching food. If you have 3 to 5 yes, you're progressing towards ditching the diet via your non-food, non-diet approach. You're doing very well. You're advancing solidly. So that's good. Or your current approach is not working. So if you've not yet approached the non-diet, non-food, beyond the food method, what you're doing right now is not working for you and will become a real issue in the future. So you should strongly consider reframing the way you are approaching food, weight management in your current life. If you have 5+ yes, it's time for you to stop doing what you're doing. So it's time for you to change your approach and to come over to the world of non-food, non-diet approach. Clear. If you have 7+ yes, it's 100% time to switch your approach, and quickly. You are in pain, you are frustrated, you've been going through a lot of misery over the last number of months and years, and you need to definitely change your approach. That doesn't mean you need to come over to my world, the Going to Beyond the Food method, but you need to seek guidance, counsel from someone who can help you approach your current relationship to food in a non-dietary, non-food focus so you can understand why you eat. But I'm sure if you have 7+ yes, you know that. You know that it's time for you to move to another approach. Just like Einstein said, right? Only the stupid keep redoing the same thing over and over again and hoping for a different outcome. So that was the quiz. Reminder, again, it's non-medical. It's just an informal quiz to help you understand where you are and what you should do next. So if you have a score of 5+, here's in my world what should be your next step. If you are new to my world, maybe the first or second or third episode of the podcast you're listening, know that I have a free audio training that you can go and download. It's a 1-hour training, couple of exercises at the end. There's also an ebook version for a nominal fee of $9 that you can read. All of that is located at stephaniedodze.com/training or in the show note of this episode. That should be your first step if you're new to my world. If you are an old timer, if you've been around the block a couple times, you've listened to a number of episodes, and you are struggling with your result, it is time for you to take action and invest in your education and into learning a new approach. So there's 2 levels of program that I can help you with. The introductionary approach, the basic program, it's called Claim Your Food Freedom. It is a 21-day self-study program for a lower cost of $97 that will teach you 12 lessons into modulating and reframing emotional eating, body image, perfection, and how to eat in a conscious approach. So that's my basic entry-level program. And then there's the second program, which is my comprehensive program of the 10 block that I talked about earlier in the podcast. That is coaching with me. You get direct interaction with me. We meet every week. And in that, it's called the Going to Beyond the Food Academy. And that's the program that's going to open for the last time in 2018. And my recommendation is that you join our waitlist to be able to join the last semester of 2018. So 2 level. Now, here's the cool thing. If you get Claim Your Food Freedom program, my introductionary program, and you're like, yep, that's what I need. That's what I need to dive into. And then you say, I want to join the Beyond the Food Academy. What we're going to do is we're going to credit you the $97 that you spent on the Claim Your Food Freedom program towards your registration fee for the Going to Beyond the Food Academy. So kind of an investment, tease in, make sure that it's good for you. And then you join the academy and we give you a reduction of $97, which is the cost you pay for Claim Your Food Freedom. So you're not losing money anywhere, and you're making sure it's the right investment for you. All the links, everything I talked about today, the PDF of the quiz, the audio training, the program, all of that will be in the show note going to our website, podcast episode 147. So there you have it, ladies. That is the non-food, non-diet approach. I've explained to you what it is. And then we did together an assessment to understand if it is time for you to take that approach. So I hope it was helpful, and I hope that will help you know what you need to do next. We've got a great podcast coming up, 148, that will continue into that vein. And in 148, we're going to address the impact of poor body image on your appetite. So if you have a difficulty, don't like the way you look, shame yourself, bash yourself because of that, guess what? That fuels your desire to eat. And we're going to explain to you why and what to do instead. So I look forward to see you on the next episode. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with another woman who may need it. Leave me a review. Really appreciate that. I love you, and I'll see you on the next episode.
I really am starting to see myself as perfect, just the way that I am.
It's the first time in my life that I realized that my self-sabotage was really fear of failure.
For me, that's huge because I would have normally sat there and ate the whole bag. And I ate like 2 or 3 bites of it and threw it out.
Because normally I would just sit there and shovel in the cake and go, oh, that was good. What's next?
Sometimes I'll go into the kitchen, I'm gonna eat a banana, and I stop and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not even hungry. And I'll walk away from it and go on, and it's over and done with.
Do you eat for other reason than hunger? Maybe eating because you are stressed, frustrated, bored, or because you think you deserve it. I struggled with craving, overeating, and even binging on healthy food, no matter what diet I was on. Keto, paleo, organic, whole food, nothing stopped it. And maybe you feel the same. Tired of dieting, over-exercising, and yet another fad program. Or maybe you're overeating and binging and wish you could just be a normal eater. I thought I was alone. I was sick and tired of being a victim of my food urges. Who wouldn't be? Do you feel stuck with your eating and body right now? I want you to know one thing. You are not alone. You aren't broken. If food hasn't been going the way you've planned, know this. It is not your fault. Sadly, most women keep repeating the cycle of yo-yo dieting because they rely on old strategy like restriction, discipline, and the worst one of all, willpower. Perhaps you believe in eating more intuitively and would love to trust yourself around food, but are afraid of trying because honestly, you just don't trust yourself, or worse, you've tried before and you fail. So that's why I want to peel back the curtain and show you exactly how I changed my relationship to food and the one of my client, going from overeating, binging, and emotional eating to food freedom. And quite frankly, it is completely different from anything you've heard before. Claim Your Food Freedom is a 21-day journey to dissolve the hidden blocks, the emotional blocks that keep you stuck, and finally, stop sabotaging yourself with food. Claim Your Food Freedom is a 4-step mapping process that will take you from where you are now to food freedom. You see, everything will change the moment you are willing to see beyond the food and understand why you eat. It's about transforming why and how you eat so what you eat becomes easy, natural, and peaceful. Health, well-being, self-confidence, satisfaction, and success are all byproduct of you looking beyond the food to unlock your food freedom. Plus, I'll coach you on specific roadblocks that may get in the way from you being free from food. Probably the things that made you fail before. The constant hate on your body, the all or nothing attitude, aka perfectionism, fear of failure, or even shame. And lastly, time management. If you are ready to step into a new version of yourself that eats normally and is at peace with food and maybe even your body, head over to www.claimyourfoodfreedom.com and I'll see you on the other side.